Ahoy there mateys, and welcome back to Windrose. Today it's time for another tour of the pirate town that I'm working on, and if you've seen the previous episode you'll see there's a lot of new progress that I've made. I've added some more details to the docks. I added this bridge going across from one side to the other one, but the major additions of course are the brand new tavern that you can see right here, as well as a blacksmith, an apothecary, and a new Marketsquare over to the side. So today's video I'm going to show you a little bit of the behind the scenes, the different steps in between the different sections of the build, and then of course a full tour of the place so far. And as always, if you enjoy seeing Windrose builds, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Really appreciate all the support, and of course feel free to leave some suggestions for future builds you'd really like to see down in the comments below. So the current state of the town, not much has changed from before, but I did add in a few new bridges you might have seen me build. There we go. This is the first one. So this is basically for this part of the town around the docks here. I can still sail with the ship underneath, or the little dinghy, which is quite fun. And I just think it will look quite nice. It's a simple design, but I'm quite happy with the way it looks, and that I can still underneath it. We could have some houses basically all the way around here eventually, but for now I at least wanted to add in the bridge to kind of connect up the two different parts of our build. I've also been laying down the foundations for some of the next projects, one being the Tavern, which is going to be a pretty big building right here in the center. It's going to be, well, the center of attention, of course. It's quite an important bit of our town, I would say. So it's going to have the main building over here on the left, and then it's actually going to connect over top of the road to this smaller building on the side. I think that's going to look quite cool. So yeah, kind of just planned out the foundations, and I'll do a build on that at some point, but that will connect up nicely with this. You have the pathway leading into that part of the docks. And then, yeah, as you can see, it's a pretty big building that I'm planning. But the next addition that I'm actually going to be working on will be some kind of apothecary right up here. That's going to be what I'm going to start building any moment now. But that will be up here, giving us a little bit of height added to the build, which I think is going to be nice. And I've got some fun ideas to make that into a build. And I also added in this bridge that you might have seen from the watchtower that I have. It currently goes nowhere, but in the future, of course, we're going to have the lighthouse on top of this rock, and there's probably going to be some kind of staircase along the side to get there, which we can connect back up to this. But it also just looks quite nice already, this little bridge that I made. So it kind of just fills up the background for now, which is enough. But yeah, excited to get these things done and add even more builds to our town. So I've made some more progress. Of course, the bridges, etc., I think I've already showed. Since then, I've built the apothecary here at the end of the street, but I've also worked on the street itself. I filled down the ground here with random stones placed everywhere, just to kind of get a more reinforced path different from the piers themselves. And I've started decorating this corner a little bit. I've got a fountain here, some decorations, and a new bench that I unlocked. It's kind of like a hunter themed set, which is quite cool. I placed some trees down here to kind of try to fill in this little green and brown patch that I have. Not entirely sure if I like this. I kind of wish it wouldn't take away all of the grass around it. I feel like that's kind of silly, plants taking away the other plants, but I mean, it could be nice, I suppose. I don't know, we'll see. If you've got any suggestions for this place, let me know, because I don't really think that a path going through here would look that well. Obviously, all's going to change as soon as I've got enough stuff to start building the tavern, which is going to be the major building right here that is already planned out. So yeah, kind of need to grind up. That's currently what I'm doing, but I made a little market square right over here. Unfortunately, I forgot to record it, but basically what I did is I made like a centerpiece with some triangle bits, and from there I took out these mosaic pieces into this pattern, and then I filled it in with these smaller stone foundations that kind of go a little bit lower than the other floors, and that makes for quite a nice little circle. I bought some extra merchants because I didn't want to remove them from my initial market square, and now I've got 3 extra ones here, which actually does mean that I can buy twice the stuff at the same time, which is quite convenient if I want to buy a lot of wood for building. It does also mean that I need to go out and get a lot more coins, because I'm a poor pirate after all this building. But yeah, I do think it is quite nice. I just use these pre-built market stall locations that they have. They are quite cool with all these little details. I wish there was a few variants. That would have been great, but they are definitely very, very nice. And yeah, the market stalls themselves just add a lot of life to a place. So I think this is definitely going to be a nice kind of square. Obviously, we'll want a bunch of like different buildings around here to really make it feel like a square in a town. And then eventually also, of course, I'll continue building along this edge of the docks, all sorts of different buildings. I think here actually I want to have a bunch of buildings that are kind of interconnected with each other, which could be quite cool. But yeah, definitely starting to feel more like a town with these two buildings that have got in, the blacksmith and the apothecary. Together they definitely help feel a bit more like a town with these higher buildings, these taller roofs. I like that the tower still pokes out from behind them, which is definitely a cool addition. And all in all, just some good vibes. But yeah, I need to get more resources so I can start building this tavern and really get a cool center point for my town here. All right, so it's time for a full tour, and now from this angle, from the piers, you can see some of the new buildings poking through. The blacksmith over there, of course, the main big tavern back there too, and it really helps to start feeling more and more like a proper pirate town. Now, of course, a lot of this has pretty much remained the same, just some extra details with these cranes that I unlocked, and of course added a bunch more storage here on the inside since I've needed more and more space to store everything that I have. And I've started adding more details in, of course, with the plants that I unlocked. I moved some things around, obviously, but the rest remained pretty much the same. So this is no longer where I do all of my crafting. It's now just a fisherman's hut at the end of the pier. I actually changed this pier a little bit to make it a bit more randomly and riggedy, because it's kind of like a small side one, and I just like to add a few extra dynamic shapes to our builds. This has still remained pretty much the same. I did finish the staircase up to the watchtower that we have, and of course my farms are here, and they are currently completely filled up. So it's basically more of farming corner, and of course an easy way to get to the watchtower, and in the future the light tower that will be on that bit of rocks, and which we've already built like a little bridge over to where well, the eventual way up to the top is going to be. And it also gives us a good view here of the apothecary that we've built here, as well as the blacksmith, and of course the brand new tavern in the back there as well. And you can really see this is starting to feel like a proper big town now, with these taller buildings in here and all of the different little elements that it has to offer. So back here, of course, we've got the workplace for the blacksmith, as well as the little garden patch right behind the apothecary. And yeah, just looking at this angle, especially with the buildings now behind each other, it really starts to feel like a proper town here. Now, of course, this workplace is where I've got all of the smithy related things. So I have the furnace and the kiln with the anvil, and then some more of the workstations. Again, haven't really gone crazy on the interior just yet, because I'm waiting to unlock some of the more well, the nicer interior designs before I do that. But yeah, just look at angles like this, where it really starts to feel like we're in a town where we can walk through the streets. We got a few of the NPCs, of course, that like to wander around, interact with the different crafting stations, which is definitely a really cool addition. And yeah, just seeing this makes it really feel like a town for sure. So we have a few different little streets that are starting to form now. I definitely want to add more and more details to it, but the tavern cost so many resources that I ran a bit low. But I did want to get this video out and show you what the town looks like so far. So yeah, we can definitely see that the tavern has added a lot to the center of the town here. But I'm also really happy with the little bridge that we built, because I think it's going to be a really cool feature for this kind of like neighborhood that we can build all around these docks. And I'm thinking mostly some smaller buildings, maybe some more rickety buildings around here, just to not repeat the same things over and over again. And then maybe a little bit more of a fortified building over at the other side to kind of round off the edge of the town on that side. But yeah, I'm really happy, especially with this little bridge that we can walk underneath. I think that's a really cool addition. And yeah, it just adds a lot of cool sightlines to the town here, with the Blacksmith as well as the Apothecary, which is definitely also really a really cool building here. And actually the building with some of the nicest decorations on the inside so far, because I just think all these little herbs, etc., add for a lot of character. The fireplace, of course, has been a great addition. And yeah, you can see this one has a pretty complete interior, at least on this level of the build. I added some of the new hunter tables that I unlocked, which are quite cool, with all of these little details around. Definitely makes for a very cool build. And then the upstairs isn't really too decorated just yet. It's mostly just a bed and a few things around it, but definitely off to a very good start here, and definitely makes for a cozy bit of the town. Yeah, the Blacksmith doesn't really have any interior yet, but I do like the look of these little squares now. And I've got a little bit of a green patch here, which I'm quite happy with. These little trees, etc. I think it's quite a fun addition to have in the middle of the town to keep a bit of greenery. Might see if I can plant maybe like a palm tree or like a bigger tree in here as well, just to keep that a bit more open and a bit more green, to still blend that into the town. I think that could be really, really nice. But yeah, these new sidelines, these new pathways have been really, really great, and especially with the NPCs wandering about, I think that's just a amazing addition to the base. It really helps bring it alive. I hope they keep adding more NPCs, because it's definitely very helpful. But yeah, the big tavern build, of course, definitely took me a lot of time to get all of the resources for this, as well as just building it completely. Now, there will be a build video on how to follow along with this if you're interested in building the tavern yourself, but you can see it's a big build. Technically, of course, it's 2 buildings with the bridge in between. But yeah, this is a big tavern, but I wanted it to be the centerpiece of our town so far, and I think there's a lot of really cool details all around the building here, with all these different angles, different little bits. And then we have a bit of storage here underneath the deck, the balcony here, and we have a nice little marketplace. So I purchased more of the traders. They're all the same traders as we have on the docks, because there's only 3 different traders you can get right now. But I decided to make a little market square here because it felt appropriate to have it somewhere. So basically I built this circle so that we could have all of these different sides, and I'm quite happy with the way it turned out. The fountain in the middle is a really nice touch. All of these little plants to add in a little bit of greenery again. And of course the markets themselves, they are just very nice because they have so many little details on them, which just adds a lot of character, a lot of life to the place by just having these around in the first place. So yeah, it's definitely a really nice addition to add to your towns, to just bring that life in combination with the NPCs that like to roam around. These are definitely a very welcome addition, and I think having it right next to the tavern here definitely makes for a really nice and cozy little square here with a big building in the background. And yeah, the town's definitely feeling more and more like a proper town now. Unfortunately, I didn't really record how to build this circle, but it is quite easy. All I did was place a pillar with triangles facing to all different directions, and then take out these quarter pieces of the mosaic ones all the way to the edge, and then kind of just go in until I had a full circle and fill up the things with the smallest stone foundations, because they're slightly lower than the mosaic pieces, and that way you can get a pretty nice town square. Well, it's not a really square, is it? Because it's definitely not a square at all. It's more of a circle, but it makes for a nice place here next to the tavern. So yeah, the tavern doesn't have any interior yet either, because again, I'm waiting to unlock more of the cool decorations, but it does have a decent amount of space here. So this is of course where we can have a lot of the drinks, etc., being stored down here. We can have maybe a bit of a kitchen off to the side here as well. And then if you take up the stairs, you'll get to the main layer. So this is where the main bit of the tavern will be. Got a cozy fireplace, plenty of room. The best table in the house, of course, is going to be right here at the front. And then we also will have a bar, which will be right here off to the side. And then the barman can go up to his little room above it. We have a lovely balcony here where you can enjoy the views over the market square, which is also quite cool. And then, of course, we have the connection from one side to the other side of the building, which is also definitely a nice addition. And this also has a cozy balcony to look out over the docks here, enjoy the views of all the ships coming in. And then, of course, there's plenty more layers, because this building has a few layers. And then the other building, the main building, of course, definitely has a lot as well, because it's a very, very big building. So yeah, you have multiple layers on layers, so I don't think space is going to be an issue. Like, you could just build the tavern and you'll have a very, very big base to work with. But yeah, there we go, some more amazing views from this tavern balcony up here. But yeah, in general, I am very, very happy and very excited with the progress that I've been able to make. It does get more and more work to try and collect all of these resources with some of these bigger things that we've built, but I think it's definitely been worth it because I've been having a lot of fun with these builds, and I do think the town is starting to really come together in a fantastic way now. So yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying the progress as well. Let me know if there's any ideas or suggestions you'd like to see me build next. And for now, that is going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope you enjoyed the video and all of the builds. Let me know what your favorite part of the town is so far, and hopefully I'll see you around in the next video or the next stream. For now, goodbye.